on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J. Loren Norris.
It's been said that what's really important in the area of maturity, leadership, personal development, and personal growth is not what happens when all the lights are on, when everybody's watching, when everybody's paying attention, because anybody can perform well in the spotlight. What really matters for your growth, for your potential, for your maturity, is what happens when you think nobody's looking. Some people would call that integrity. Some would call it character. I say that consistency when nobody's looking is the most important factor of your leadership journey. That's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J. Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can tell you through the course of my own leadership journey, one of the challenges that I personally have faced is those days when you feel like you're on a high, everything is working right, your momentum is clicking along, all your business ventures you're just nailing it. It's all working just right. Every time you send out an email, you get great response to it. Every time you speak in front of a crowd, you get great response to it. Every time you solicit a new customer, you land the deal and it's awesome. And then the next day you have a blowout on your car, or you have to get an oil change and realize you need bigger repairs than you had planned for, or you have a fight with a loved one, or a bad run-in with your CPA or your finances in the IRS or something. And it seems like every other rise of excitement and accomplishment and victory is met face to face with the tragedies and the drama and the of life. Leaders know this. It's not just how you shine when the spotlight is on you that matters. It's can you remain calm in the face of the disasters and the drama and the trauma? Can you stand firm on your ground, stand your ground when the hard times come? And if the answer is, well, no, not so much. If you find yourself as fickle as the day, if you find yourself bouncing back and forth between good days and bad days, good ideas and bad ideas, good relationships and bad relationships, that lack of consistency is going to cost you. It's going to cost you relationships. It's going to cost you opportunities. And here's why. And this is so hard. Nobody wants to admit it, but the truth is, the attitude that sets in us, all of us, every human, the attitude that sets in us when we're alone, we like to think goes away when we walk into the public arena. We like to think if I'm in my office, or I'm in my room, or I'm hiding out in the hotel, or I'm sitting at dinner by myself or having coffee alone, that whatever's going on in my mind, nobody else knows. And when I stand up from this seat, when I walk out that door, when I step onto that stage, everything will be left behind. Well, I can tell you as an experience, having raised 2 daughters and 2 sons and having a fistful of youngins around now as those who call us Lolly and Poppy, Generally speaking, and psychologists and neurologists can confirm this, men do a much better job of compartmentalizing the ideas, attitudes, and thoughts that are going through their head. And some people say he just shuts down. Well, yeah, he does just shut down. He compartmentalizes. What happened at work at 10 a.m. usually isn't still in his thought processes at 2 p.m. or 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. when he's at home. That doesn't mean they're not subconsciously weighing on him. That doesn't mean he has completely forgotten about them. It does mean that he has kind of put them in a little box and set them on the shelf to wait till the same time tomorrow to deal with them. Now, here's what really happens. If you haven't built into your own life as a leader the coping mechanisms that allow you to intentionally redress those issues, then you may think that I've put that in the little box while I'm having my coffee time, or I'm having my reading time, or I'm having my alone time on the fishing pier, that you're dealing with it and it's going away. But if you're not working with a strategy to deal with it, then the chances are it's actually just getting pushed down deeper into your subconscious. Not dealing with it, just ignoring it, pretending like it didn't happen, it's a strategy that has no longevity to it. Because those subconscious things that you're not really dealing with, those issues that drive you crazy, the ones that make you angry, the ones that make you want to scream at the sun, the ones that make you want to pound the air with your fist, those issues, those are the issues that are hiding deep beneath the surface. And they haven't really gone away. They may be hidden well. You may think when I sit down for my coffee, or I sit on the fishing pier, or I go hang out with the guys, that when you walk away from that moment, everything is resolved and you're coming back into the moment pristine and fresh. And I hate to inform you, but it's simply not true. There's a type of fire I learned about when I was in the fire academy with the Air Force. It's called a duff fire. And the thing about a duff fire is that it lies beneath the surface for a long period of time. Some places, the Colorado fires of 2012 or 14, somewhere in that area, burned hundreds of thousands of acres. And they were started by a duff fire, a fire that is actually burning underground. It's burning up the leaves and the dead trees that have been buried as other leaves have fallen in the snowfall, and et cetera, but it's still burning under there. And all it takes is a wrong step. Somebody with a shovel that decides to dig a pit to build a new campfire, or to put in a tent stake. And what happens is, as you break through the foliage that is the surface that has smothered out the oxygen of this fire, the fire's still there. The fire hasn't gone away. The duff fire of Colorado that I'm talking about had been burning for over 100 years. It went underground. It was burning in the cavities of the spaces beneath the foliage and fallen trees. But it had plenty of fuel. What it ran out of was oxygen. And when the mulch was broken through, when the limbs were broken through, suddenly there was enough oxygen to reignite this fire. And it was a fire that already covered hundreds of acres. And when it burst open, now it's got oxygen, now it's got heat, now it can create more opportunity to burn. And your attitude is like a duff fire. You might think that you've suppressed it. You've pushed it down. On the surface, it all looks good. You can see the beautiful, pristine snowfall. Everything is good. And for most people, that's what they see. That's what you present. That's what you're telling them you are. And in large part, it's true on the surface. But if there's a storm going on underneath, that storm, that duff fire, that burning deep down inside you, it doesn't go out on its own. It's got to be dealt with. Now, some people deal with that with therapy. Some will deal with that by having a coach who's going to ask those piercing questions. Some are going to deal with that through their religion, through their faith. They're going to study the scriptures and see that what they think about themselves needs to be modified, tweaked a little bit. And those are very important aspects of who you are. Another one is to realize that some of this work you're going to have to do on your own. Some of this work means looking in the mirror and asking honest questions. Am I really doing okay? Have I really asked and answered the questions about my own mental health? Am I stressing out about that like a duff fire that's just burning beneath the surface, and the one word from the wrong person, the one inopportune traffic incident, the road rage moment, the smart mouth kid at the grocery store, is that going to set me off and this fire is going to break through the surface? Now, if you've ever worked around someone who has spent the majority of their life suppressing their emotions, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You feel like that emotion in them is like a powder keg. It's like a soda pop, or a bottle of Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, whatever you want to make it, that somebody has just been shaken up. And at any moment, that lid is going to give way, and you're going to have the Mentos and Diet Coke moment of emotion and lack of control. It happens all over the world, everywhere there are humans, on a regular basis. It's the consistency of the leader when nobody's looking that begins to pay off. Now, that consistency looks like several things. It looks like the ability and the willingness to ask tough questions of the person in the mirror. To ask, am I really okay? Why am I angry? What is it that bugs me about this individual? What is it that bugs me about this moment? What is it that bugs me about this circumstance? Why, when I'm alone, are these things still going through my head? These are some really tough, reflective questions, but you've got to commit time as a leader to handle them. I brought my big comfy chair to the office instead of being in my bedroom at home, so that when I have those moments to sit by myself, I can sit in my thinking chair and just allow my brain to go through the things that are inside my brain. Some of those are parsing out new ideas, brainstorms, and asking, honestly, can I apply them? Is there something I can do about that right away? Is that a problem that I need to solve, or is there somebody I need to delegate that to? Some of that time, though, is just reflection. It's a place where I just ask myself the tough questions. What did I do wrong here? How could I help that person better? How could I be of more service? Those are the moments that allow us to create consistency, to be even keel. Now, if you know me, if you've been a part of my life beyond this screen for any period of time, you know that through my 5+ decades on earth, that has not always been my strength. My kids can tell you. There was a season that I mimicked exactly what I grew up with, the yelling and the screaming and the flying off the handle. And I still have my moments. I dropped something on my foot yesterday, moving all of the boxes. Maybe you noticed, all my books are back on my bookshelf. Yay, I'm a happy camper. When I can have access to my books, I'm a happy camper. That's an emotional high for me. The emotional low was when I picked up one of those boxes of books, and the other two fell on my foot and pinned me between all of the other stuff in storage and the boxes of books, and I couldn't get out the door. I was not a happy camper, and my emotions and my language reflected the not happy camper, not the happy camper that I got my books back. If you're a human, you probably have moments just like that. If you're watching this and you're not a human, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're a human and you're watching this, you probably have those great days, those awesome aha moments, and those horrible days that you realize you're out of control of you. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to anybody else. Leaders know that consistency matters most when nobody's looking. Are you in control of you when there's no one to celebrate with you your greatest victories or to call you out on your greatest failures? Are you consistent enough in your actions, in what you believe about yourself and what you believe about others, that it shows. They say still waters run deep. It's actually the other way around. If the water surface is still, what that means is that person is really deep. Now, it could mean one of two things if they're really deep. It could mean that they've just suppressed the stuff that would normally cause waves so deep that you have no idea what's under there, like a Loch Ness monster. Or it could mean that they've just learned to calm themselves at such a deep level that anything that moves, it's going to be more like a tsunami. You're not going to see it until it reaches the shore, until it reaches the very edge. There are earthquakes underneath the ocean on a regular basis. Some of them are so far out that the waves really never impact the shoreline of anything. Some of them are close enough to the shore that once that wave starts, at the depth of the ocean, it's an inch or two high. But it's the repercussions of reaching landmass that cause that 1 to 2 inch wave that's 150 miles long to become a 200-story wave at the beach. The inconsistency in the life of a leader, when emotions are out of control, when learning self-control has not been a focus of the leader, when learning how to be even keel by honestly, personally, on your own processing all of the things, the good things and the bad things, and asking, how could I have handled that better? How could I handle that better next time? If you're not taking the time to do that as a leader, you're missing something. And you might think that nobody notices. That's not true, my friend. Just like there are seismographs in the depths of the ocean, just like there are fire watch towers and drones and aircraft watching the mountains all around the world, looking for that one tiny outcropping of a duff fire, because once it starts, it is a disaster and it will be hard to put out. Whether it's the tsunami or the duff fire that's going on in your life, you think you've got it suppressed. You think you've got it under control. You think you've mastered this, and you're wrong. But the reason there are watchtowers and seismographs and there are monitors and buoys all over the ocean is because there are those who know how to detect a disaster coming. If you've got a coach in your life, if you've got a therapist in your life, if you've got a pastor or a religious leader in your life, they should be trained like a seismograph to read what seems to everybody else to be a really small ripple under the surface, that little hint of smoke in the distance, to say, we need to deal with this now because that's about to get out of control. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your significant other. But there should be somebody in your life who's looking for the warning signs to say, I sense something perhaps getting out of control, and I want to take the time to address it now. Consistency when nobody else is looking means you're dealing with those things at a level that you're actually dispelling them. They're going away. You're not dismissing them and ignoring them. You're actually dealing with them and moving past them. If you're not taking the time to do that, if you don't have somebody in your life to do that, take the time to do that now. The suicide rate around the world is at a higher point right now than it has been at any other time in history. And one of the reasons for that is we have leaders who are not dealing with their own personal issues until it's too late. They're not dealing with their own personal internal conflict until they explode like a duff fire or a tsunami and overwhelm the people around them, the people they're responsible to, the people that are trusting them to care for them. We see it in all walks of life. Leaders need to be consistent, especially when nobody's looking. That's when it matters most. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal for you as a leader to take the time for introspection, to grab a journal and write down what you're thinking so you can go back to it several months from now and go, I remember that dark season. I remember when I was afraid of X, Y, and Z. And here's how I pulled through that. Because there's going to be a time that you, as a leader, will be expected to be the watchtower, the seismograph buoy, You'll be the one expected to detect when someone else is coming up on a disaster. That's part of your role as a leader, to influence people who need your help. We love to think that our influence is always going to make their lives significantly better by some product or service that we're going to offer them. And while that should be true, sometimes that influence is, I'm going to stand here with you while the storm rages. I'm not going to leave your side because I believe you can do better. And I will be here to help you see the warning signs and deal with them before they destroy you and everything you care about. If you're a good leader, you are a seismograph buoy. You are a watchtower firefighter. You're looking for signs of disaster long before they happen. In yourself, in the mirror, and in your team. It's my challenge for you today. Lead the people around you by caring about what's going on in their world, not when the spotlight's on them, not when they've had the greatest accolades, not when they're winning the awards, but when daily life is hitting them in the face. Be the kind of leader they can count on, not to blow up at them in that moment, but to stand firm beside them and say, I'm here with you, and we got this. The world needs more leaders like that, especially ones that are consistent in their mood and their reaction to others. I work harder every day to be that kind of leader, and I challenge you to do the same. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.